Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, December 10th, and we've got some daily quests. I potentially didn't trade out everything that I needed to trade out. Particularly on the weekends now, it's gotten harder and harder to just remember and take the time to launch Hearthstone. Particularly when I'm playing some other game that's in full screen and I don't want to alt-tab out of that game. But this isn't too bad. We've got win 3 games with a Major Shaman. I suspect that either tomorrow or next Tuesday, this Rustican's Rumble will come out. I think it's probably next Tuesday, but I'll check tomorrow, and if it is, we'll make a special stream. If not, I'll continue playing Borderlands 2, which I'm working on wrapping up, doing the Bunkers and Badasses / Dungeons and Dragons quest DLC. I don't have a tavern brawl? Good. So all we really need to do is decide if we're going to play Mage or Shaman. Now I wish Hearthstone Deck Tracker would let me see what I'm playing, but let's try Token Shaman, play it in Ranked, see how that works for us. Meanwhile, we had a lot of news that, or a lot of games that come out on Steam that we didn't cover on Friday. I went through it and closed things that were specifically not amazingly important to talk about, things that are obvious, just extremely low effort or troll games. So we have a slightly more curated experience today, and the goal will be to catch everything up. Theoretically, I only really need to do 2 daily quests, although it would be helpful and probably wise to do all 3 of them on all 3 accounts, just so we are certain that I know what's going on. See, I have no idea what the goal here is, so just start with that and see what happens. See if he plays like a secret. Then if he plays the secret, I can play that. Interesting. Reduce the cost of your mechs. Alright, so we do this, and then do this, and in the turn. So let's just go through all of the news and see where we are. I say it almost every stream, if we can have a shorter stream, that would be fine. I've already done like two episodes of Hearthstone. No, not Hearthstone, but 2 episodes of Borderlands 2 before I started streaming. Woke up a little bit earlier, so I had some extra time. So yeah, I don't think there's any other wrap-up I need to do. I have been debating, though, about the web peak. Like, see, the problem here, before we start covering news, is right now the number of views is kind of low. I'm at 307 subscribers. I don't look at this information very often because it's frankly at this point depressing to look at the number of subscriptions I have compared to what I suspect I would have had YouTube just not screwed with the algorithm as much as they have. But so I don't know if maybe I'm down on views because of the web peak thing, or if people are really liking it. I like the web peak. It does take away from Hearthstone a little bit, so if somebody is is really just here to watch Hearthstone. There are times when you're missing entire movements and actions. But I'm playing pretty low level Hearthstone here too, so it doesn't feel like that would or should be a consideration. Alright. I'm gonna try and just get rid of some things. Let's see, I could do Bloodlust next turn, but I don't think that's the right move. So we've got a game on Steam called Hunter that in the video it doesn't look like a terrible idea for a Hunter game. It seems the sidestep actually hunting animals and instead has you shooting targets, although to be honest, this is not an accurate depiction of what hunting would really be, because the target is in the middle of an empty area. It looks probably like a slightly simplistic game. And here you have human targets, which at that point you're not practicing hunting, you're practicing self-defense or murder. Yeah, this seems a little too simplistic. Maybe at some point you go out into the forest and then that would be a little bit more realistic. Early access game, 59 cents. Sorry, the quality just looks too low. It strikes me very much like the intent here is to sell kind of a low quality game. Kill that guy. So yeah, that won't make it to the list. I'm a little surprised that the Steam winter sale hasn't happened yet, but I guess I kind of feel like it's December 20th and it's not. It's December 10th. So I'm like 10 days ahead in my own mental perception. Well, that didn't work. Did that not work because I wasn't paying attention, or did that not work because I just have a terrible deck? Let's try again. We'll give it a couple tries. I don't know how hsreplay.net would have given me a terrible deck, but maybe sometimes it does. Maybe looking for new decks right as there's a new expansion might be a mistake too, but I don't know how you fix that. That's just the time it has to kind of happen. GameIndustry.biz has an article. Daybreak Game Company lays off staff. Around 70 people reportedly dismissed from the H1Z1 development studio. So, if I'm remembering correctly, which I totally could be not, H1Z1 has been in trouble, certainly, for a long time. There was some investment, somebody took over, and at that point, it just started going downhill. And in a lot of ways, I think PUBG was designed specifically to replace H1Z1, and I know that that even H1Z1 might have been designed to replace something else that I can't remember the name of. 2 sparks with rush overload. Do we want to overload early? I don't think it's necessary. Let's see. The rough estimate is that it's about 30% of the studios, so laying off 30% of the studio is a step that I would suspect heavily means that they are working to weaken the remaining employees to lay them off in another quarter. Sometimes it really does just boil down to a longer term project to shut down or lay off a studio. But that's usually when it's a union shop, and I'm not sure that would apply here. Let's see. Let's keep on playing too. Do we have an elemental? No, we don't. Can we give anybody adjacent damage? Not really. Earlier this year, Daybreak underwent a bit of a shuffle surrounding one of the best-known properties, H1Z1. In August, the studio announced it would shut down the original version of the game, Just Survive, due to its untenable low user population. The following month, Culver City-based company Nantworks made a strategic investment in Daybreak and created a new joint publishing division called NantG Mobile. The division announced its intention to publish mobile versions of both H1Z1 and EverQuest, work on new titles, and take control of H1Z1's PC Battle Royale mode. I wouldn't be surprised if a big issue here is that the Battle Royale issue just is like gone and done. There's no more money you can get from that. Alright, so if I do this, guess this is an elemental. And then if I do this, I guess this is an elemental. And what else do we want to do? I think we just leave it at that. So yeah, seems like Daybreak Games might be in the middle of a process of slowly sliding towards bankruptcy. Honestly, I think by the end of this year we can fairly say that Battle Royale games have done as much as they can do. Like I don't think we can make an argument that in 2019 going forward we'll see many more Battle Royale games. We'll see games that have Battle Royale modes, but I don't think anything's just going to be a Fortnite, just going to be a PUBG. It might have been smarter, we'll have to wait and see, for the developers of Anthem to simply release Anthem as a Battle Royale mode and abandon whatever story, quests, dialogue, or other content that they're working on. At least they could get the game out as a Battle Royale mode and then say, hey, we're actually going to put some story and single player experience in this later on. If it sells well. Key phrase there being, if it sells well. Let's do that. Okay. TechRaptor has an article. The Outer Worlds, which was a game that was announced at the Video Game Awards, will have no romance options, which I guess might be a bit of a deal breaker or a problem for some people playing RPGs. Unless maybe this turns into a scenario where it has no romance options, but you can sleep with any character you want. Let's see. But I don't think that's what they're going for. I think what they're saying is that this game, The Outer Worlds, you shouldn't be hyper hyped for it because it's not going to be as amazing as what a Fallout 5 could be. I don't think they have the money or the resources or even maybe the ability to make something as big and large scale as a Bethesda game, even admitting and knowing that Bethesda games are very buggy. That would be my first speculation. So apparently Token Shaman sucks. Well, I don't know how to play it, so let's try Tempo Mage. I kind of know how to play that. There's a quote here from on TechRaptor. Quote, other people have explored... Oh, wait a second here. TechRaptor does this thing where they have this giant picture of a quotation mark, and then they don't put a quotation mark at the end. But then they're putting a quote inside of a quote here. So it's a picture of a quote, and then a quotation mark for real that says, other people have exploited the romance angles in different ways, comma, end quote. Boyarsky told Polygon. So you're doing nested quotes, and I don't think that's the way you do nested quotes. I think you use a single quotation mark and then you use a double quotation mark, and if you're doing quotes inside of quotes inside of quotes, you're probably just writing your article terribly and need to rephrase your sentence. Then it starts again in the same quote. We felt like sometimes it kind of waters down your role player for a character because it turns into this mini game of how do I seduce the companion, this companion or that companion. So they just didn't want it. So it was just one of the things we felt wasn't really what we wanted to focus on our time on. Is what it says. And there's a further part that apparently the person that your companion is going to be, that you can betray pretty early in the game, and
I wonder.
So you're not really forced to play with them in the first place. So since a good comparison here would be, I'm in the middle of playing Borderlands 2. If there was a quest to romance some of the main characters in Borderlands 2, it would be weird in Borderlands 3 if any of those characters came back. Like, it really would be weird. It takes away from the hyper focus that the Borderlands series is as far as being a first-person shooter. So if it's gonna be something like that, where the Other Worlds is definitely gonna be an old RPG where you're focusing on probably first-person shooting again, it may not be as much a classic RPG game where you're actively how do I say it? Actively role-playing in the game. You might just have a few stats and modifiers you can do, and that might be it.
Someday I'll be just like you.
Let's freeze that guy. I guess that will work. So, yeah, RPGs are kind of a wild expansion there too. I don't believe in Final Fantasy 15 you can romance any of the characters because you're supposed to be going to get married throughout that story. So, like, unless there is some room for infidelity in it, I don't think you can do any romance options there. Thinking back on a lot of the older Final Fantasy games, there might have been a few quests where you're supposed to romance somebody, or you can kind of romance somebody. But the idea that you can have that Mass Effect style of dating, because that's really what people want when they say romance options is they want to be able to not even really date as much as just cajole or coerce people into sleeping with your character, because that's really what it just boils down to. And The Witcher 2, and even I think somewhat in The Witcher 3, although I skipped all those sections, you could basically, they just did boil it down to you can sleep with lots of people if you want to. And honestly, I think that satisfies probably better than trying to have real romance options. The romance options in Skyrim weren't amazingly good. They haven't been amazingly good in anything. You continuously run into problems where either you have to make all the characters bisexual, or you have to you make it so that you're playing as like a male and all of the characters are female, or vice versa. So it just brings a lot of issues into it, and it dangerously skirts into identity politics, certainly, but even sidestepping that rant and argument, it's just hard to do. There's no real dating options in Tomb Raider. There's no real dating options in Overwatch. I just think this inherently boils down to a lack of ability in writing characters and storylines in video games. And honestly, if you go to movies and TV, there's a severe lack of ability in movies and TV also. Violence is easy. You don't really need an excuse or justification to shoot somebody in the face, really. But when you get down to romance, there's a lot of questions that have to be answered. Like, it's kind of surprising none of the Telltale games really went into much of a romance option. I suppose, though this is also a hype article that I spent too much time talking about for the Outer Worlds, because that game's not coming out anytime soon. So by the time it actually comes out, that what is true may not be true anymore. Like, okay, draw a secret from my deck. There we go, play a counter spell just to screw with him, since he's playing spell hunter. Check Raptor has an article. The new Nutaku LGBTQ plus section offers more variety in adult gaming. Although this section is probably going to have to be redivided because you've already under-filtered and under-focused here. There should be not a LGBTQ plus section. There should be an L section, a G section, a B section, a T section, a Q section, and a different section for every plus also. But at the moment, they only have 2 new free-to-play games that fit those themes. Nutaku, of course, being the being a adults only game storefront. Let's see. Don't know if there's really anything else to say here. The 2 games are one called Minbang apostrophe, and apparently was made in collaboration with Min.com. and the other is called Gay Harem, in which you build up your own harem of gay dudes. So the L in there, the lesbians, not really getting anything from those two games.
Jaina versus Gul'dan. Your soul shall be mine.
You asked for it.
Oh wait, no, I'm misreading this. It says, the article says the lesbian section has the most content, with transgender section coming in close section and the gay section in the rear. So they are breaking it up. I'm just misreading this article terribly. Like, the thing about the lesbian section too is, like, almost every straight adult game is going to have some lesbianism in it, or at least implied lesbianism in it in the first place. And some of these labels, to not get into rant, don't apply well to sexual preferences. LGBTQ+ doesn't directly equate to sexual preferences always, because, like, the T, the Q, the plus, though everything after LGB are more about your personal identity and not so much about your sexual desire. And it becomes like intersectionality type ideas, which is a hard concept to explain. Moving on, I'm trying to work hard here to not get into rants.
Someone called.
We have a game on Steam called Chess Sphere. It looks kind of bad. I'd like to play a game like this, but it does look rather clunky and like a single screen Unity game. I think I'd prefer to wait until there's a better quality game here. It's free, so the price is right, but honestly, I would prefer to wait and see some more polish. I don't even think this is round. They stretched out the sphere for their thumbnail. Let's do that.
An incredible discovery.
Shouldn't have done that. I should have killed this guy with my ability. Next we have a game on Steam called Samura's Rebellion, which looks like a low effort, like terribly drawn visual novel. And we are getting more confirmation here. It's pretty much confirmed at this point. Yeah, this is like a troll visual novel. That either Valve has straight up lied to you, which is not going to be helpful for all the people who are super happy with the idea of leaving Valve right now and going to like the Epic Game Store, which that's kind of a separate issue. But either Valve has completely and totally lied, and they have embraced censorship, or they've changed their mind or something like that. However, they excuse that as a lie. Or, and this is a possibility, but I don't know, there's no evidence either way, employees inside of Valve somewhere have created an excuse, and it's a pathetic excuse, to censor the Valve store, particularly to get rid of anime and visual novels, but anything anime looking, and thus anything Japanese. So this is anti-Japanese sentiment, which, you know, if you've got an employee, well, it doesn't have to be in Asia, but let's face it, Japan pissed off a lot of Asia during World War II, and there's a lot of anti-Japanese sentiment there. But there's a kind of anti-Japanese game sentiment in the United States too, from the mainstream video game media. So there's a lot there. So many cases now, enough cases to not make it seem like it's an isolated incidences, of games have not been allowed, or the communication with Valve has just gone quiet completely, and they are getting some of these games, it's gone completely quiet. Some of these games have been denied straight up because they're quote exploiting children, which that's a pathetic and inaccurate argument. Like, you're not exploiting children, you just aren't. Unless this was some kind of insane attempt to censor Steam so it would be allowed on China's allowed to be on China uncensored. Like, I don't know why Valve itself would go for this, for a pro-censorship stance. I wouldn't be surprised if there is an active push from like the Center for Children and Missing and Exploited Children, or maybe what was the one that used to be called Morals in Media, that is just like a religious puritanical lobbyist group. It may very well be that in the background there are some secret messages getting sent to Valve pushing for certain games to come up. The most recent one is a game called Valkyrie Hunter that the creator says had absolutely no sexual content at all. It just had anime characters in it. And that's the one that's gone quiet. There have been previous ones that were romance and had sexual content or adult only thing, but they were clearly stating that all the characters were 18 or older in their games, which, if you're not going to believe them or if you're not going to care, well then that's all romance visual novels and all adult visual novels, pretty much. Like, you can always argue this. Reddit was particularly full of a lot of comments when talking about this that seemed to be very one-sided, so I don't know if all the other opinions were getting voted down or what was going down there, but I would have thought they would have been more pro-free speech on Reddit than they seem to want to be. And this really is an instance where the slippery slope argument, I think, is an incredibly valid argument to make, because Valve has gone back on its own word, or its employees have gone back and not followed what was established. Like, it would have been a lot easier for Valve to simply say, yes, we're not allowing any anime-looking girls on our service anymore. When that became a question. So it boils down to, still, there's not a lot of evidence, and we may never get any evidence until some companies sue Valve or something. In the meantime, companies are losing money, literally, because they're not being able to list these things. It almost certainly has to be a rogue employee, because there's still a lot of low quality, low effort games that are getting Steam Direct published. So yeah, that wouldn't make sense. Like, we wouldn't have all these hentai slide puzzle games coming out and getting approved, unless it is really just so that that storefront just looks horrible and people stop buying the games, which they won't. People will just go back to pirating games. Like, inherently, that's what this is going to boil down to, is if you take away visual novels from the people who are mostly playing visual novels, they're going to just say, well, screw Valve, I'll just go pirate the visual novels, and while I'm there, I'll just go pirate every other game. Like, you've kicked me effectively out of the store, so I'll go to the back alley, black market. So yeah, it could be some rogue employees working in India, rogue employees working in China, rogue employees working in Korea or something like that. Or it could be rogue employees from Campo Santo. And we kind of already know Campo Santo's opinions on censorship, so I wouldn't be surprised. I would like to see, if it is rogue employees from Campo Santo, I'd like to see those rogue employees fired. Like, their skill is not worth it. They made Firewatch. Firewatch is a walking simulator. You can't ruin all of Steam potentially because of a walking simulator programmer. Plus, whoever is doing this, if they're doing it against what was the express wishes of the company, they're just being insubordinate at this point, and you can't trust them to do anything. So, yeah, it's a frustrating scenario to be in. Like, it's the foundation of a bad relationship. Like, it's like if you had a significant other and they cheated on you, and then they came to you and said, "I'm sorry for doing this." They admit it without you finding out. They say, "I'm gonna get therapy. I'm gonna work to never do this again." To find out that person cheated on you again, or to even start to feel like that person might be cheating on you again, is not a good position. And inherently, I guess if somebody cheats on you, you should probably just dump them. It'll be easier in the long run for everybody. Just do that. Oh, I didn't realize I had enough to do that. See, if I did this,
Starlight,
and then this, and then this.
job's done.
Moving on, we'll get back to that story in later. TechRaptor has an article, the Kind of Funny Game Showcase, which also I did not watch that. It was odd to me that Kind of Funny Games Showcase happened like on Sunday, and then the Video Game Awards show happened on Friday. Like, you would have thought that it would have been like an hour after the Game Awards, and not 2 days. It felt like, maybe I'm wrong about that, but it didn't seem like it. There was also, somebody mentioned the idea that they would have done like a Total Biscuit like in memoriam video for the Games Awards. Jinnabane didn't seem like she was too upset about it. I don't know if she publicly gets upset about them not doing that. I don't know if the Game Awards have done any kind of in memoriam. In a lot of ways, the Oscars probably would save themselves 20 minutes if they didn't do an in memoriam for people that died. And really, there haven't been a lot of people that died anyways. And to be fair, I'm fairly certain that Total Biscuit just like snarked on and made fun of the Game Awards. That's what a lot of people do, because it certainly kind of deserves it. So it's not super surprising that they didn't do it and that they wouldn't step into a controversy. I don't think it behooves Jeff Keighley in the Game Awards to piss off mainstream video game journalists by saying something nice about Total Biscuit. I don't think it behooves anybody to say anything negative about Total Biscuit. So just let dead dogs lie, I suppose, and just not talk about it. If they had something, it probably would have gotten talked about way too much and turned into just a controversy. And I think it's very possible Jenna Bain just doesn't want more controversy. So I suppose the question is, as long as there isn't somebody super relevant into the video game industry that dies in the next couple of years, they probably can just avoid having any in memoriam scenarios, and then if 4 or 5 years down the line they start doing in memoriams, that would be fine. Nobody would remember. But if, say, Shigeru Miyamoto happened to die next year, then of course the Game Awards could still do an in memoriam, and nobody would really question the fact that Total Biscuit didn't get one. So that was clearly the right move for them to do their own pat themselves on the back award show. I can't really see a path in which the Game Awards turns into anything interesting or worth watching, you know.
There once was a man from Gildan.
I would much prefer to spend a lot more time watching like speedrunners events. Let's see. And then the esports player of the year player came out. Turned out he was a furry. He's like called Blue Sonic something or other. So he came out in his full furry suit, and he takes off the head, and he's like, he does this little speech where he goes, "I'm a black gay male furry, so I know I'd piss off a lot of Republicans," or that's not an exact quote, but it's basically what he said. And people, I think, are fairly making the argument that you shouldn't be bigoted to all Republicans. There are the Black Republican Caucus, so there are Black Republicans. There are the Log Cabin Republicans, which are gay. So they do exist, maybe not in massive numbers. So you don't need to. It's not helpful in politics or just general speech to paint everybody with an extremely broad brush like that. Honestly, if you just said, "So I know I'd probably piss off a lot of people," there wouldn't have been a story about that. Now, of course, the mainstream video game media turned that speech into saying, well, everybody's just homophobic against him, and everybody's just racist against him, and everybody's just anti-furry against him. I don't even think the mainstream video game media would spin it that way, because I think everybody, both liberal and conservative people, still kind of poop on furries as a creepy, weird fetish. But that wouldn't have been the thing that I think irritated most people. Inherently, this is part of a bigger story where esports players should just not be allowed to talk. That they're as dumb and they say as dumb things as basketball players and football players do all the time. And like, honestly, they should have just told them, look, don't give a speech, just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Just thank everybody you want to thank, and don't try to say anything political. Honestly, for the Oscars too, any presentation, it should be like no speeches. Thank who you want to thank. And the most political thing you can say is thanks to God, and that's about it. Like, these award shows are not your bully pulpit. You're not preaching to a choir here, or preaching to a crowd. Like, I personally would try to severely limit what was said, just to save time, save frustration, save controversy. But it doesn't seem like anything else happened at the Game Awards. Moving on though, I started reading this TechRaptor article and didn't make it past the title. The Kinda Funny Game showcased The Walking Dead, the final season, episode 3 is alive. So the final season, episode 3, is coming out January 15th. So episode 3 is called Broken Toys, January 15th, 2019. I didn't really feel like there was much of a reason that there should have been a delay in this season at all. It's going to really come down to to the next season, the next episode, from Skybox Games now. Like, they've I don't think they were ever going to do a 5th episode, and most of the seasons have had 4, 5 episodes at least. But they were going to make this one short anyway, so I think that after this one that comes out January 15th, I wouldn't be surprised if there's quite a long wait until the final part comes out. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article. The Danganronpa trilogy has been announced for the PS4. It's due out in late March. This includes, there we go. Let's see. It includes Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair, and, well, I think Trigger Happy Havoc is a combination of Danganronpa 1 and Danganronpa 2, and Danganronpa version 3 V3 Killing Harmony, which there is a side story of Danganronpa that is not included in this trilogy, or a couple of side games, a couple of games in the side story, so you're not getting quite everything. And Danganronpa is this kind of weird Saw-ish game of death visual novel game, but I guess there's not too much that needs to be censored because it is coming to Sony, and let's not forget, Sony has censored yet another game with blinding rays of bright light. So Sony's going crazy, Steam is going crazy. This is an implication that somebody is pressuring them somewhere to do this, and I have no idea who it really is, but something's going on in the backgrounds. Or yeah, I don't think I'm being paranoid here. Like, conversations are being had. I'm just gonna end this turn. Let's see. This looks like an interesting game we have on Steam. It's called Sumo. So the general idea of Sumo is either flipping your opponent on the back or knocking him off the ring. And they've expanded this to have crazy rings with like a train that will knock you off on at least one stage. And you're playing as these ball-like creatures. It's early access and it's $8.99.
What to do?
In all honesty, this probably isn't worth playing, but I'm willing to give this one a chance and see what the reviews are on it. Alright. So I'm just gonna try and double up here. I'm just gonna take some damage and wait a couple turns. Gamatsu has an article. The Tales of Crestoria is coming to the West. The latest smartphone Tales game is due out in English. More and more of the Tales of series from Bandai seems to be making its way to the West. Now, I heard someone talking about this, like a anime reviewer on YouTube, and there comes. He made an interesting question about whether the Tales of series is going to be really accessible at this point, with so many other JRPGs already having a foundation and a foothold in. Let's see. If we do this, we won't work. If we do this, that won't work. Let's see. So I'll just hope this. Alright. I think that's the best we can do. So I might be able to kill one of our guys, but not both. Let's see. If this game... Oh, you found a way. Found a way to kill both of one guy. Or two guys. Oh, that sucks. All that careful planning. All that careful planning falling off. Alright, let's do this. Do this. And do that. And end the turn. So we've got a game on Steam called ZDF History 360. Let's see. It seems like this is some kind of like VR first-person shooter walking simulator game. I guess it's a walking simulator. Seems to be very much a
Blood and plunder.
kind of horror game with little holograms. English language not supported, unfortunately. It's only German. That explains a lot of this. Well, this doesn't look terrible. Unfortunately, I can't cover something in German. I don't speak German that well. I can maybe pick up a few key phrases here and there, but that is it. Let's see. What am I supposed to be doing? Look at 3 cards, guess which one started in your opponent's deck. Okay, so he's playing that. Assassin's Blade probably is in there. Echo. probably not.
One's out on me.
I'll go with this. Nope. I chose poorly. So, as we continue to complain, and I guess we'll just have to beat this drum over and over again. Unless somebody wants to make a change.org position and see how not far that gets you. Or somebody wants to just raise a stink. Let's see. Next spell.
Starlight.
It's +2 damage. And we do that. And we end the turn. So on Steam we have a game called Nya Nya Nya. That's NYA space NYA space NYA girls. And then a bunch of apostrophes and quotation marks to draw a cat. This is cat girls in anime in a slide puzzle in slightly revealing clothing, but not really much more than a bikini. It's tagged with nudity and sexual content, this game is, and it came out December 8th, and it's 59 cents discounted. So why is that allowed on Steam, and yet Valkyrie Hunter isn't? Yeah. When Valkyrie Hunter had no sexual content. I just do not know the Japanese to lie enough for me to believe that these developers are actually putting in just completely illegal, objectionable content. And then they're saying they don't have that. So this has to be a fault on Valve's side. Moving on.
Jaina
Let's
versus
see.
Garrosh.
Victory or death!
You asked for it.
So we have this game on Steam called Ball Out, which looks like it's a 2D platform-based version of Rocket League. Which, that doesn't sound particularly interesting or exciting to me. And frankly, Rocket League could probably do this in less than a day's worth of programming if they wanted. This is early access for $4.79. I just don't think that there's any reason or rhyme to do that. Put this game on the follow list, or purchase a game, or do anything with it. Go and draw this first. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Island Invasion. This. I'm just looking at it. It's a tower defense game. I couldn't even figure out what it was. Alright, it looks like a pretty terrible tower defense game too. Maybe it's trying to do something different with like lakes and plateaus. $4.99, no discount. Okay. Whenever this minion takes damage, gain 2 armor. Let's see. Let's do this. I kinda have to do this. So he's just gonna get a ton of armor.
Job's done.
Next we have a game on Steam called Adventure Boy Cheapskate DX, which looks like this might be an art style, but this also just kind of looks like a bad marker drawings. Looks like it's an adventure slash maybe visual novel, but I'd say you'd probably call it more of an adventure game. But I'm not really seeing any other gameplay mechanics. Visually, this is just not appealing to me in any of the screenshots. $4.99 undiscounted. Yeah, that's just not up there.
Just like you.
Alright. Draw 2 cards. Or...
I found it first.
Man, every time I try to start streaming, I run out of steam. Because I'm doing work before it, because I'm waking up earlier. Right. Can we do this and that? Hit that. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam. It's called Iridescence. It's a shoot 'em up game. It looks pretty bad. It's $5.39, and we don't need to go any further. Yeah, the thing that's going to save me time is if I stop spending so much time talking about every single game, particularly when we know that they're going to be bad. Yeah, we have another hentai square puzzle game. The quality of the hentai pictures, which I'm not 100% sure are actually licensed, seems to be all over the place in these cases, in these slide puzzle games too. Technically this isn't a slide puzzle game, this is a match 2 game. But yeah, they do seem to be like just all over. I'm gonna go ahead and kill this character. Check her out, there's another cool kind of funny game showcase. Vane, V-A-N-E, brings shape-shifting desert children to PlayStation 4. I haven't heard of this game, Vane. Let's see, there's a release announcement here. So yeah, there's a trailer I'm gonna watch. Let's do this. That won't leave me enough, so this.
Starlight.
And then, is that enough? This does 8 damage to kill that. So I'm seeing a desert, and I'm seeing a child character every now and then, and I'm seeing a bird now. Like, I'm seeing some kind of cloaked characters. It feels like this might be something along the lines of a Pikmin style game.
Job's done.
There's a lot of darkness in this trailer though. Yeah, the kids can turn into the birds, which is probably interesting way to bring in some movement. Okay. So I guess what it boils down to though is, since Vane is just going to be a PS4 exclusive, then I won't ever cover it anyways. It says it was loosely inspired by titles like Journey and Eco, and I get those things. Vane is coming out January 15th for $25.99, which tells me it's probably not super long. And it's going to be this indie thing. Wouldn't be surprised if it came to PC eventually. Wouldn't be surprised if it's not anything, really. I think we already talked about this article. This is going to be our last game, by the way. We've gone an hour. But TechRaptor has an article of a senior EA Ireland director fired over alleged, quote, big dick comment, semicolon, lawsuit ensues. So, there's an editor's note. At the request of the involved parties, we have removed the name of one of the people involved in the incident. So, okay. Somebody's out there doesn't want to be named.
Just like you.
We have many secrets.
Usually, the answer to that question should be no. Like, but whatever. Let's see. They still mention Philippe Grenet, a senior director of global delivery services for EA Ireland. So it must have been the woman colleague who he was talking to. Apparently his comment was made on November 9th. What I want to get to here is the lawsuit in Irish employment law. Because that's what it's going to... Let's see. As a result of her complaint, he was dismissed in a meeting November 14th. EA contends that Grenet has admitted his guilt and that they are entitled to terminate his employment. They also deny that there are flaws in their disciplinary process. Regardless, next week Grenet could see his case return to court as he tries to keep his job. So yes, he's trying to keep his job. It seems like they're trying to fire him for arguably maybe not super legitimate reasons when a senior, like, it kind of boils down to, what do you think the senior employees are like or should be like in a job? Like, usually they do have a little bit of rough language, and they're all adults, and frankly you shouldn't be fired for saying something, a simple saying that I may have not even been in English. Maybe it was, so this might be a mistranslation. Yeah, this seems like they're just trying to get rid of him. There is certainly a bias here too, that EA is evil, so everything EA does is wrong, so why not assume that EA is wrong when they fire an employee? Or maybe this is an attempt from the inside to clean up EA and make it a better kind of video game company that will eventually make better games not full of microtransactions. Anyways, we've been going an hour, so this is as good a time to break up as any. I guess we can switch over to the European account. Don't really need to stick to the Americas account. So that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, you can support me via Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.